Hey guys, it's TheFrXion here, Tiger Tank 12, however you call me, I don't really care. Welcome back to World of Tanks, but this time around we're trying out a new World of Tanks, and it's actually Blitz. Now, you might have heard of Blitz, you might have heard that World of Tanks has different versions on the computer, on the console, and on the, I think on the phones, Android and iPhone. The thing is that we have the standard World of Tanks that we are used to playing on PC, which is the original World of Tanks, and that is different on every single server in a few ways. You have the North American server or the American server, which is also with the South American server combined, so you can choose between those. That's where I'm playing. You have the European server, you have the Russian server, which is the biggest. You have a Chinese server, which is a very special server because it has the opportunity where you have the opportunity to buy basically anything for money because it's not run by Wargaming, but by the Chinese company that they have licensed World of Tanks to in China, and it's an entire different beast that we can't really get into because we don't have access to it, but we've seen videos and it's pretty crazy what's happening over there. We have the the Southeast Asia server, and I think that is combined with the Australian and the New Zealand server, or at least the region is combined into that. Then you have the World of Tanks console edition for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One and the PS5 and Xbox Series X, and they are completely different games as well, which an American, I think World of Tanks or Wargaming North America, the console team is developing, and that's an entire different beast. I wanted to actually take a look at what is happening at World of Tanks console as well, because there are a lot of things that have happened over there that have completely changed the game around and they have made people very mad. At least that's what I've gotten from it. I haven't played console. I've tried it out once in the year 2015 when it first came out. And then we have World of Tanks Blitz. Now we're in Blitz. Now Blitz is the World of Tanks for iPhone, for Android, and for PC and Mac. So this is a kind of a different version of World of Tanks, and I don't really know a lot about it. I've played it on my phone when it first came out in the year 2014, just once, because I was a huge World of Tanks fanboy, and I played it on my MacBook when it came out in the year 2014. You can see that we have a very, very weird looking game. It looks like it's basically World of Tanks with a few downgraded graphics settings. And what we have right here is the Tier 1 PZ2, which actually is not a Tier 1 in World of Tanks. So they have different tanks in here. They have different kind of ways of monetizing the game. They have crazy amounts of loot boxes. I can show all of that stuff to you guys in just a second. I just wanted to talk about what I think of Blitz, what Blitz is about, and how crazy the ecosystem World of Tanks has become, and where I kind of see a lot of issues, and where maybe these games do share a lot of the problems and have maybe the same amount of fun as well. So let's take a look at the garage. You can see this is, if you remember old school World of Tanks, it always used to be such as a garage. You were in a hangar, but it was a lot more dirty if you didn't have premium. I don't have premium, by the way, but it was a lot more dirty, and there was always like a little ramp at the back, and you know, those garages always really cool. With mods, you could just put your tank wherever you want it to be, and nowadays we have very open spaces, and it's very different. But either way, we have a PZ1 here, and the very first thing you'll notice is I have a Super Conqueror at the bottom left, and I'm thinking like, what? I just logged in. My name is IceCube 2016. I didn't choose the name; it was given to me, and I have a Super Conqueror in here. Like I was thinking like, great, I got a free Tier 10 tank, and it's actually a Tier 10 Premium, if I'm not mistaken right there, because it has the premium color, and it actually is a bloody bundle. Let's talk about this. This tank you can buy for 20,000 gold. This is a tier 10 tank that you can just buy for 20,000 gold. So it must be a premium tank. Let's see what you can get with gold. Now this is the store page where we currently are on, and holy shit, I thought that World of Tanks was bad. Before we go to the vehicles, we're going to take a look at the store page. So we have the offers. Now remember, I have my Steam in Russian, or at least still Russian location. But I'm not in Russia anymore. Either way, it doesn't really matter. So the prices are in ruble. Ruble's Russian currency. I could transfer it around and tell you guys, I think that the current, it's about like $1 is about 75 rubles or maybe 80. I'm not entirely sure. Depends on the exchange rate. But you have, look at that. You have the Somwa, which we have, but it's called the Somwa Grenadier. I'm just going to click on it so we can actually take a look at the vehicle. It's basically a Somwa, nothing different here, but you actually get 3 boxes. Now this is where I got really interested. You can see that there are so many boxes around here. You can buy like 16 boxes. There are 16 different boxes for about 17,500 gold. 500 gold. Now imagine these boxes right here, they all contain legendary vehicles. So I'm not really sure. These tanks are inside these loot boxes. So I don't know what the play is here, but I think we now might know where the loot boxes are coming from in World of Tanks and where and how they got back to us, because it looks like our brethrens on the MacBooks and our friends on the cell phones are really enjoying loot boxes because there is a shit ton of them. Look at that, they're selling weird ass crap tanks. There's a Krupp 38D, which is tier 5. The VK we have, obviously, but there are weird skins as well. Like this entire game is like such a huge box of colors and everything, and it's just, I have to say, I just want to throw up when I see all of this stuff. You can get the boosters, you can get the gold, and then here you can get some tanks that are currently on sale. So right now, see, right, you would save about 8,333 gold if you buy the Super Conqueror Rex, which means king in Latin. But either way, we can just scroll down here and they are selling all kinds of stuff. We basically have all of these tanks. And oh, there's actually like, you can actually get like different tanks here. The Matilda Black Prince, we have all of them. Yeah, that's no big change right there. SU-85, very rare tank in World of Tanks, used to be very rare. The Matilda 4 with the 76mm gun is a very rare tank in VOT and World Tanks. This tank is very rare, the Panzerkampfwagen 5 and 6, I think. And then you have like even more stuff. You have esports things. You have... Now we're getting to the boxes. Now you have all these boxes. You can get like avatar containers that contain stickers and avatars, and holy shit, I have enough of that. I don't even want to talk about that anymore. So we can see where the monetization, where all of those things were tested out and where they've implemented them basically into a World of Tanks version. Now let's take a look at the different nations. We have basically the Americans, the Germans, the Soviets, the British, Japanese, Chinese, French, and the Europeans. Now the Europeans are basically all the other tanks that we have in World Tanks, all the other nations that are like 1 tree or 2 tree nations, and basically they've just combined them into one. I don't even think that is too much, like too bad. I think it's okay because all of them actually are the European Union if you think about it. Either way, let's take a look at the Americans. So basically everything here looks very, very much the same at the very beginning. At least, well, you don't start with the Cunningham, but you do get the M2 Light, and then you go to tier 4 where you have the M7. Now the M7, if I just look at this vehicle right here, it actually is the M7. It just looked a bit weird on the little thumbnail. But if you move on, like tier 5, tier 6, everything seems to be kind of, familiar with how we have that kind of stuff. But then we get to tier 8, and you can immediately see that there are some changes in this game. And this is the new line of tanks that we are going to be getting, the Yo tanks. So this is where we can get some looks at what these Yo tanks will be looking like when they come into the game. And I think this is also going to be the tier 7. So this is the M7 Yo. You can see it's a very bulky tank, very large, very, very high profile. I'm not even sure what the gun depression is on this thing. There we can see a bit more extended stats on the vehicle. And you can see that the gun depression is... dispersion. Gun depression is 7 degrees and 18 degrees of elevation. Then we have the other Yo tank, which is the M3. Now, basically, this is still a stock version, but you can see that the turret does become more of an egg. No longer this very bulky, huge turret. And then at tier 9, you have our tier 10 vehicle. This is going to be the tier 10 in World of Tanks. And this is the tier 9 here, the M5 or V Yo. It looks really weird if I just look at it right now. You can see that the tracks now, I'm not sure, I don't think that they have the mechanic where there are 2 tracks in this vehicle. It doesn't look like it, but we're gonna have the mechanic, and you can see right here that it's a very weird looking tank in my opinion. It just really crazy. Now let's take a look at the tier 10 or the tier 9 that we have. So yeah, the turret is quite a bit larger. It's a bit thicker, and it has those 2 weak spots, cupolas on top, which I think isn't too bad. That looks quite nice. And it's a bit wider as well. It seems to be more flat, and the tier 9 just seems to be one of those vehicles that is going to be more difficult to take out, especially like the front part of this vehicle looks really weird. Let's take a look at the stats. How thick is the armor at the front? At the hull, it's 170 millimeters. With that angling, it's going to bounce quite a few shots. So yeah, we're going to see how we're going to deal with that thing. Moving on, all of these things, all of the other tanks are the same. But once we get to the Germans, there are some very, very nice differences. I wouldn't say nice. Let's retract that statement, and let's talk about some differences that do look a bit weird. You don't have tier 10s and the tier 9 light tanks. You don't have the... the light tanks still are the light tanks of old. So it's the RU-251, which is the tier 8 here, which was the tier 8 at the, back in the days. And the tier 9 and the tier 10 are missing, which is the RU-251. And there should be another light tank in here somewhere. I forgot which one it was. Or it just starts at tier 6 with the VK. And this one... The SP1C is the tier 7. There is a tier 8 that I'm missing out. It's so underwhelming that I forgot the name of it, but you guys know what I mean. Then you have the VK7201K. Now this tank is very special because this is actually a Clan Wars Reward tank. This was the very first Clan Wars Reward tank that came into World Tanks. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was. And this... you cannot get on the World of Tanks if you're not playing Clan Wars. Now here, this is the standard tank. You have the 150 millimeters gun, I think. Yeah, 150 millimeter gun, and they are missing the other one that we have with the 128. Other than that, they all look the same. I just want to take a look at the mouse. What have they done to the mouse in this game? It still is the non-HD texture, so this is like the mouse that we remember of old. So kind of a way back, going back in time. Going on to the Soviets, it's so weird that they have so little tanks. Like they still have the IS-8 at tier 9. They didn't turn it into the T-10. They don't have the Object 430U. So these are some lucky bastards. But they do have the Su-122-54. Now, this is a tank that I do sorely miss because I didn't think it was that bad, but Wargaming did not like it being in the game, and they took it out because it only had like gun depression of 4 degrees, and that was quite brutal if you think about it. But let's take a look at the ISA a little bit, going down memory lane. They just basically ported the non-HD versions from the game and put it into this game. That is a very nice thing to do. So still nice to see that we have that. But now with the British, we actually have some very big changes. We have one line of light tanks, I think, that absolutely do not exist in World of Tanks on the standard server. Now, very interesting, the FV215B here is still the tier 10, so they haven't replaced that with the Super Conqueror. That's why you can buy the Super Conqueror as a premium, because they actually turned the FV215B into a non-premium, which doesn't make extra credits, but has like all the other benefits. And now it's just a Super Conqueror that you can buy for 20,000 gold. Like, I mean, what a bargain. Right? So right here we have a line of British light tanks that I've never heard of. The FV301, which looks like some kind of a mix of a British turret with a British kind of gun. Looks like a 16-pounder gun. Not 16 pounder. Sorry. What was it called? Is it a 16-pounder? But we'll have to see. Let me check real fast. 17-pounder gun. Yeah, exactly. And it has kind of the body of a Lux, a German light tank, kind of. Then we move on to the Vickers CR. The Vickers CR is basically even weirder. The turret does become even more British, and the hull becomes a bit more elongated. But other than that, still kind of the same. And that was actually the tier 9, so that was the tier 9. This is the tier 10. You have Vickers Light 105, which is kind of a bulky little package with a 105mm gun, which looks quite interesting. I'm not sure if they are ever coming to the World of Tanks live server, but that could be the next thing that will join the British line. Now to the Japanese, and with the Japanese we have some very interesting things, and that is the tank destroyer line that we have heard about, which is supposed to be coming to World of Tanks, but we haven't heard in a very long time about. So we have the Cheeto SPG, which looks wrong. Let's put it like that. It just looks wrong. The Hori T, which looks even more wrong, but somehow could have happened, I think. But it kind of looks wrong. It looks like the turret is still able to move, but it's not actually a turret. It just looks like it from the front. But yeah, I think it looks wrong. Now we get to the tank destroyers that we might have actually seen in history books or pictures of, because they actually built it. The Hori Type 2. I'm not sure if it's the Type 2, but the thing is, if you actually do lower or elevate your gun, the back part here, the gun mantlet, and the entire gun, like the breech, it actually moves up and down, and this is actually something that opens, at least in real life, and right here does not happen. So this is where the armor is like really thin, and so it should be super thin because it's basically just a little bit of a cover. So let's move on to the tier 10, which is the Hori. The Hori is just like, oh, way over the top. The gun is longer than the tank, and it's probably like 100. What kind of gun is it? 149 millimeters. So kind of a light naval gun if you think about it. Moving on to China. We still have the 113. We have the WZ121, which should be the 121 just. So there is no big difference here, no big change, no premium tanks that you can buy here. Moving on to the French, and I think the French tanks haven't really been overworked as much. We still have the ARL with the stock turret, it looks so funny. Other than that, everything is the same. I think the ARL 44 is still in the game as well, so it's still the identical thing. So with the Frenchies, they didn't really care at all. And with the new tanks, since they've developed them very recently, they basically have all of the same vehicles. The only difference is that tier 1 to tier 5, you have kind of a mix, a mashup of the best tanks or the worst ones. No, actually 14 TP is okay, 10 TP is okay as well. The Lago, I've enjoyed the Lago. The TheFrXion M42 wasn't too bad either. But what you can see is that there are quite a few things that are similar, but also quite a few that are different. It's kind of like a way back machine to see what World of Tanks actually could have been if they haven't or if they hadn't really changed a lot of things and they hadn't added a lot of tanks, because we are missing a lot of tier 10 tanks. With the Soviets, we're missing a lot of the power creep, I've noticed. And either way, we're gonna join a tier 1 match, and you can actually see they're like skins and avatars, and we're a tier 1 going up against tier 3, which is a bit special. Let me just nope, do not go to.
Let's go.
Let me just decrease the volume in the game. So what you can see is when I'm moving to the left or to the right, I actually have like an arrow pointing me to the right direction. And weirdly, it's super weird, to be fair. How do I, like, okay, there's my, what's it called? My equipment. Why can't I don't have the ability to move my my mouse around. And the enemies are in the middle. Let's fight them. Okay, so it's not the autoloader gun that we do know from the standard World Tanks. And we barely are scratching these guys. But we did do some damage. I just don't know how much damage I did. Also, the UI is a bit small. I don't really see how fast I'm going. Oh, it's down there. And the arrows are a bit irritating. Everything is so different, but it's still at the same time like so similar. And I don't even know how I feel about it. But I'm not planning on sticking around in World of Tanks Blitz forever. I was just really interested in seeing what this game is all about. And like there is a lot of action going around. Look at that, planes flying above us. And the game is a lot easier to run, I assume, because it's supposed to be running on phone as well. Now I'm interested to see if people actually can play with other players on the phone. And look at that, we have the ugly duckling, which is the Amex. Is it the 38? I'm not really sure. We can't really penetrate his ass because his armor at the rear is actually stronger than our pen. So it's a bit of a weird engagement. I'm not really sure if these guys are players or if these are bots, because no one has really shot me so far, and it's basically just a bit of a big fight in the middle. So I'm just gonna go in there and I'm gonna go up against that PZ-35. Everyone is kind of ignoring me because I'm a tier 1, but this is going to be the death of them, because you should not ignore a tier 1 tank that is able to penetrate your rear. But oh, we should definitely take out that weird tank over there. And I think I'm about to lose this because everyone is going to shift their focus onto me now. And I do not have the pen to deal with that weird French hybrid, that weird tank. So I'll just have to stay ahead of him. Oh, actually I can pen his side. But let me first deal with the German tank, the Panzer 35, or actually the Czechoslovakian tank. Or a Czech tank, I'm not even sure. Just looking into it, so hopefully this guy is going to miss some shots, because I'm just gonna hug his side. Nothing about a good side hug right there. But the duck is coming in and the duck takes me out. So yeah, it's a very much washed down World of Tanks experience that I have absolutely no interest in exploring any deeper. But what I've noticed is basically they've taken World of Tanks, they have washed it down to be able to run it on phone, put it also out on PC for all the players that cannot play the game because of the better textures nowadays. But they still want to give them the same opportunity, but with a bit of a different kind of look. and basically at the same time just drown these guys in absolute premium hell. This is absolutely incredible. Yeah, this is not an experience that I would have. I can tell you guys that I would have certainly never fallen in love with World of Tanks if it would have been like this. So I'm very glad that I'm not playing Blitz, because holy shit, fuck that. I'm out of here. And hopefully you guys had a little bit of an insight what this is about, what is Blitz, and what a terrible kind of World of Tanks experience it is for the players that played World of Tanks and have grown up with World of Tanks. But I can see why some players might enjoy this as well if they don't really play the World of Tanks, the original World of Tanks. But holy shit, they're really drowning in premium stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna keep my fingers off of it. Hopefully you guys see what is happening. If you do play World of Tanks on Blitz or World of Tanks Blitz, tell me, what do you think about this? Am I completely wrong? I mean, obviously I just had one game at tier 1, but I just kind of cannot comprehend this to be extremely fun for me, if I know what World of Tanks on PC is like, with the graphics, and basically it just feels like like a more refined kind of gameplay experience. But anyway, I'll see you guys on the next video. Until then, have a good one. Peace out.